I am beating every N64 game, and I mean all of them. The twist is, the next game I play is randomly selected, so I have no clue what's coming next. This is the journey to beating every N64 game. Game number 175, Mace the Dark Age. Released in 1997, this game was developed and published by Midway. This was another game I had never heard of before. Midway generally put out some pretty good games back then though, so I was feeling pretty good about this one. At first glance, it's a fighting game, and I kinda suck at those. It was just never a genre I got into growing up. Sometimes these fighting games are trivial, others not so much. Hope this is the former. Let's get into it. When you turn the game on, you're presented with the storyline. It's Europe in the year 1300. Darkness is shrouded over Europe, Arabia, and Asia. Many people are succumbing to hunger from pestilence and war. Some guy named Khan wages a ruthless war in Asia, Japan, all the way to Europe. In Arabia, the Assassin's Guild is making a bid for power, taking down sultans and kings. In Europe, it is simply a well of despair. The kingdoms are thriving under the covenant of 7 lords who have allied with Asmodeus, someone who practices the dark arts and wields the Mace of Tanis. Wow, very compelling storyline. Geez, the flame background in the options menu is just too much. I feel like it's hurting my eyes looking at it. This game is a port of an arcade game, so the arcade mode is the only thing to do. There were a decent selection of fighters. You've got Executioner, Lord Deimos, Ragnar, Koyasha, Taria, Al-Rashid, Mordos Cole, Takeshi, Xiaolong, Namira, Dragon, and Heck Knight. I picked Al-Rashid for the sole reason that I ran out of time selecting. The first fight was against Mordos Cole. Before a fight, it shows the characters with some kind of taunt phrase they say or whatever. I went with the classic strat of button mashing. It was working extremely well. Although all I was doing is basic attacks. This crouch attack was doing some serious work. I'm not gonna lie, it felt like he wasn't even able to attack me back. I could have won doing literally anything. When you finish a fight, it shows their severed head fall onto a stake. Well, that got dark quick. The next fight was against Koyasha. Well, it worked last time, so I may as well try that crouch attack again. Although she was blocking a lot of the attacks and was even able to land hits on me. It was clear this fight was harder than the last. I was getting kinda wrecked in the second round, but I barely managed to take her down. The crouch strat was not going to be viable any longer. The third fight was against Taria. This was cool because it was the first fight where I could really see the 3D aspect of the game coming into play, and the environment playing a role in the fight. As cool as all that stuff was, I got annihilated. I desperately needed to change my strategy. When you lose, it lets you continue, but you have a finite amount. Well, maybe my strat wasn't the thing that needed changed, but my character. I picked Lord Deimos, who had a super long energy sword. Crouch swinging this thing prevented Taria from getting in range to me. It took 3 rounds, but I took Taria down by spamming a single move over and over. Xiaolong was fight number 4, and the jig was up here. If I swung the sword, he'd do a backflip to dodge it, then immediately counter. It's safe to say that even if I got past this fight somehow, the next would make this impossible. I was getting some decent hits by button mashing, but I was assuming the AI was going to do some level of input reading. You really can't win by button mashing if that's the case. Against all odds, I won round 2 by not having any clue how to play the game. Just the third to go. Yeah, we all know that didn't happen. And even if I did manage to win, I wasn't going to beat the later fights, let's be real here. I decided I should probably actually learn how to play the game, and thankfully there's a practice mode where you get to beat up on Spanky the Dummy. The special moves are your typical fighting game patterns like back forward punch or half circle forward kick. You know how it goes. I just really struggle with these. I'm sure if I played for dozens of hours, I'd have them memorized and never have to think, but jumping between all these different fighting games makes it hard. I found this decent move where Lord Deimos would spin his sword and hit twice. Maybe I could just spam that and win. Yeah, I was already getting destroyed in the second fight. All the fighters have different stats, which are listed in the game's manual. Deimos had one of the lowest speed stats, so I just felt like I couldn't get anything accomplished. I gave Mordos Cole a shot now. He had a pretty easy combo with Shield Blast into Dragon's Bane. It did around 20% of their health, which is great for a 2-hit move. My goal at this point was just find the spammable move the AI couldn't handle and hope for the best. I'll take this time to talk about the graphics and audio. I think the graphics are pretty good for this game. The backgrounds are pretty rough looking, but everything else is great. The character models look nice, the arenas look great, and the UI elements are very crisp. I like how colorful the game is too. For the audio, there's some pretty forgettable music playing during fights and in the menus. The voices of all the fighters are pretty compressed, but it's good enough to add some excitement, I think. Since this is a midway game, they wanted to add in finishing moves. It's called an execution instead of fatality though, you know, to make it different. Mordos Coles is, well, that was a bit graphic. This spam the 2-hit combo was already failing at the 3rd fight. Man, this game's gonna be super hard, isn't it? After that one death though, I made it past Xiaolong for the first time. Okay, maybe it was just a fluke. Next was the Executioner. This guy kept launching some projectile at me, and because I'm bad, I couldn't dodge it. Reminds me of playing my brother in Street Fighter as a kid, and he just spammed Hadouken while I cried. After getting wrecked a few times, I managed to take him down. Not sure if the game was being nice to me for losing so much or what. The next fight is Namira, and I remember her well. She has this attack where she yells, yeah. Oh my god, she was the first true wall. Since this is a 3D fighter, you can sidestep certain attacks. I guess it was at this point where the AI is coded to sidestep more often because it was hard to hit her. Yeah, I didn't stand a chance. You get 5 continues to make it through, so once you've died that many times, it's over. It's kind of funny how there's a bad ending in a way. Mordos Cole basically got wrecked and was no longer confident in himself as a mercenary. He tried becoming a farmer in Italy, but Asmodeus has ruined the soil there so badly he can't grow any food. So now he wanders the streets begging for money, a shell of his former self. Jeez, that is brutal. Continuing to learn more about how the game works, I realized you can do counterattacks. The manual doesn't mention this as far as I can tell, but it's listed on GameFAQs. Just down-forward attack with the right timing. This could help if I was facing a really aggressive opponent. I hated when Xiaolong would lock me up with his projectile. Just felt like I was being taunted briefly before dying. So in the Executioner's arena, you may have noticed all the swinging blades and such. They aren't just for show. I was in a close battle, and yeah, the spinning spikes killed me. Well, that's one way to learn it isn't just aesthetic. To add insult to injury, now I was losing to Taria again, and she decided to turn me into a chicken. I guess I deserve it. I couldn't believe it, but I made it past Namira in one attempt. I was quite scared for what was next. Takeshi is the next fighter, and yeah, I had no chance. I also found it a bit annoying how this arena is segmented into 3 levels of his deck or whatever. The elevation change is so annoying. Like, look at this combo that basically took half my health. I feel like this is the point in the arcade where they wanted you to dump in more quarters or just leave. I lost all my credits here and that was it. All the way back to the start. I spent some time trying other characters like the Executioner or the Heck Knight, but it wasn't helping much. It wasn't the character that was bad, it was me. The next session of playing, I went back to the lab to try to really learn Mordos Cole's combos. You can combine certain attacks to get a really big chain of attacks. For getting over a 5-hit combo, the commentator even acknowledges you did something good. I was struggling with these because you can't input the buttons too fast or too slow. There's kind of a rhythm to it. I don't know if you can tell watching the footage, but this definitely doesn't run at a smooth 60 FPS. So it felt like my inputs were being eaten a lot of the time. After a bit of grinding, I landed the 8-hit combo, Mordos Cole's biggest available. The timing's pretty strict, but it feels good to land it. And then I was able to land it in a real fight. Although Mordos Cole's AI is basically the same as the training dummy. Knowing a big combo was nice and all, but all it did was increase my DPS. I still had the same core skill at the game and was losing left and right. After an hour or so, I made it back to Takeshi. You could say that went pretty well. God, this guy cheats, I swear. I appreciated all the efforts to integrate the arena as part of the fight, but man, these changes in elevation were really frustrating. If they were above me, I just felt like there was nothing I could do. Yeah, so this stream was mostly me getting destroyed for 4 hours straight. I just felt so defeated, like, it felt like I'd never beat this. If the AI gets harder every fight, I couldn't imagine post Takeshi. Hours later, I couldn't believe it, but I managed to get a win on Takeshi. Oh my god, I got a KO on him. I don't believe it. The stakes were incredibly high now, tied at 1-1. Some aggressive blocking by me was helping me hang in there. In the end, I managed to beat him. I actually couldn't believe it. However, I knew it would only get harder from here. Al-Rashid was next. I don't know if I was getting better or the devs decided to give the player a break after Takeshi, but I was doing quite well against him. A problem I was having is this level was lagging more than the others, and I couldn't finish my combo consistently. Yeah, I swear this guy's easier, cause I won first try. Hey, I'll take it. Ragnar is next, and let's see how that first round went.
Round 1, fight!
Okay, yep, that could have gone better. I think most people who remember this game know this guy as being the true wall. He's just so incredibly aggressive. It was my last continue, and all the way back to the start I went. Oh my god. So here's where the story changes. A guy named Nellin55 in my chat said he's pretty good at fighting games and investigated this one a bit for me. Apparently, Lord Deimos is kinda good. There's an easy and consistent to pull off 4-hit combo that does pretty good damage. I don't know what this move is called where he swings his sword, but I swear it sounds like he's saying ice and juice. Whatever it is, it's good. Real good. His stats in the manual have him listed as a 10 out of 10 for range, and it shows. This sword is just so long, and there's not much they can do if you're far away. For instance, Taria, who was typically a spot I'd lose a credit with Mordo's Coal, was now a free win. She could never get close enough to hit me. It was great. Ice and Juice is too strong. The Executioner was the first person that even had a chance of beating me, mostly because he has long range as well and a projectile. Getting caught in a corner of poison doesn't help either. Namira was a joke now because if she does that ya thing, I just dodge backward and then Ice and Juice her while she's stun locked. Takeshi was still a bit of a problem, but fortunately there was a solution. Most of his attacks can be avoided by jumping, so the jump slash works well against him. I still hadn't lost a single credit up to this point, by the way. I lost one round, but I still beat him on my first try. I couldn't believe it. Past Takeshi with 0 losses? Al-Rashid was free, just like before. Ice and Juice my way out of this desert. Alright, it was time for Ragnar. All good things must come to an end though. One reason this guy's challenging is because his combo alternates between low and high attacks, so you've got to quickly swap between blocking both heights. I almost one-shot this fight, but I was a couple pixels out of range for the combo that would have finished him off. My confidence was through the roof at this point though. No losses until now? I'll take it. Of course, there are times where Ragnar decides to just become a TAS, and honestly, what are you supposed to do against that? It felt like I was being attacked every single frame. It took 2 credits, but I took Ragnar down. Oh man, it's getting real now. Well, I guess I should have seen this coming. Now I've got to fight none other than Lord Deimos. My huge range doesn't help if his is the exact same, you know? Not only is his range high, but he's quite tanky, so I couldn't afford many mistakes. Like here, we both hit each other at max range. Literally any other character and I would have won that trade. Getting caught in the lava sure wasn't a good decision. I swear, that's one problem with this game. It's so hard to get out of the dangerous areas like this. I had the idea to swap to Mordo's Coal here because maybe getting in close was the play. As you can clearly see, that was not a good idea. I ran out of credits, so I just had to start all over. But I did feel like it was realistic to win now. The only one I didn't have a good plan for was Takeshi. This jumping strat was inconsistent at best. I made it back and I missed my Ice and Juice, but it didn't matter. I had it tied up against Lord Deimos in my first attempt. It was so close because I knocked him in the lava. Stay in the lava. No. In the end, I couldn't clutch it out. I still had more tries though. If you're wondering what Ice and Juice is, well, it's a big cup of ice with just a tiny bit of juice. So you can get maybe 2 sips out of that, but it still tastes great. After 3 deaths, I finally beat Lord Deimos by launching him in the lava. Oh man, how can it get harder than this? After this, it's someone I've never seen before, Grendel. He had a cutscene before the fight, which is how you know it's going to be intense. Really? I was just hitting him with a combination of jump slashes and Ice and Juices. Round 1 went to me. Oh man, I was feeling it now. The problem was, that was kind of the ideal round. This guy hits hard. If he gets anything off, it's basically over. Remember, Deimos is tanky, so that much damage is nuts. I had him on the ropes, nearly winning, but I threw it all away. From near full health to nothing, just like that. Come on, man, let me out. In the end, I blew through all my credits and that was it. All the way back to the start. If you're wondering what Deimos' bad ending is, basically he failed at acquiring the Mace of Tanis and returned to his home of Bavaria. The peasants he tortured for so long have taken over his fortress, and he's too weak from all the fighting to retake it. He can't bear the thought of losing to the peasants, so instead he jumps into the lava. That was sure a nice story. On my next go at it, I managed to take down Grendel. His body just explodes and there's blood for some reason? Maybe it's lava. The final fight of the game is the main villain, Asmodeus. He gets a cutscene before his fight as well. That frame rate when the bridge is falling is just top notch. He's basically a big demon that's appearing from the ground. Also, he has little arms coming out of his stomach. He moves so slow, but I was still getting thrown over and over. It's just like his hitbox is hard to judge. I kept feeling like I was in range, but I actually wasn't. Also, apparently he can just yeet me off the cliff. Well, that's new. Another unique thing about him is he can't be stunned. Like, it does make sense that my attack that's supposed to lift him doesn't. I lost, and that was my only credit left that run. I didn't expect to win first try, but it sure would have been nice. I took down Grendel again on my next run, but again, only one credit left. I had a new plan this time though. The attack where Lord Deimos basically does like a jank golf swing makes Asmodeus block nearly every time. Using this, I could do the golf swing, immediately dodge backward, and repeat. Now, it wasn't great DPS, but it was enough. See, it might be a lame way to win, but the timer's still in effect for the final boss. Like, I get it, he's the Lord of the Underworld or whatever, but I do gotta admit, good job on him for following the rules. I lost round 2 and I was really feeling the nerves. I wanted out of this game so bad. I kept my composure and stuck to the plan, and yeah, time ran out and that was that. Too bad, buddy, rules are rules. The mace is mine. For winning, we get Lord Deimos' winning story. He drinks the blood of Asmodeus. Okay, off to a very weird start already, but sure, let's let these devs cook. He lifts the Mace of Tanis in victory. Now that all the evil power he could ever want courses through his veins, he can conquer the world. He easily defeats the rest of the Covenant of Seven and enslaves their populations. Under his rule, Europe and Arabia are unified, but it's not a good ruling. Deimos is able to rule for centuries, and Europe never recovers from the dark ages that ensue. Yeah, that was kinda depressing. I guess if you wanted to fully complete this game, you could see every character's ending story. One thing I did was check out all the executions with each character. We already saw a few, but here's all the ones from the characters we didn't see. They're a bit graphic, admittedly, so skip ahead to the timestamp on screen if you don't want to watch them. Yeah, I guess that execution makes sense. How does that work? The heck was that? Calm down, Koyasha. Oh my god, what? It's like that one movie.
Just a flesh wound.
I mean, that's Al Rashid's, except he cut our arms off too. Oh wait, we already saw this one. That was just rude, Xiaolong. Did he jump inside? The heck was that, man? You didn't have to do that. There we go. Oh my god. Okay, that was worth it. The only other thing was there was a secret practice map you can access in 2-player. It's a stark contrast to the rest of the game. I see a bunch of secret characters you can play as listed online, but the process to get them is quite involved, and I'm not even sure if they're real. There's so many lies on GameFAQs! The game's credits are just available at any time through the options menu. But yeah, that's about all there is for this one. Game complete. So yeah, there you have it. My journey to beating Mace the Dark Age. I've said it a few times that I'm not great at fighting games, but this game is hard. Like, extremely hard. Midway was notorious for making their console ports too difficult, but this just felt like it was on another level. I definitely got better at the game over time, but without the huge range on Lord Deimos and the help from someone strat hunting, this would have taken dozens of hours to get through. The fact that you have finite credits to beat all those fighters makes it tough too. The pressure to not lose at Asmodeus is so high. That being said, the game is pretty solid. I feel like this game kind of went under the wayside. I feel like I remember seeing an arcade cabinet for it a few times growing up, and I think it isn't bad at all. The characters and graphics are really cool, and I like the movesets well enough. If you feel like stressing yourself out against old fighting game AI, maybe give this one a shot. I gave Mace the Dark Age a 7 out of 10 for enjoyability and a 10 out of 10 for difficulty. One of the hardest games on the N64. Alright, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. We had a randomized marble race to determine which game was next, so here's how that played out. Or skip to the timestamp on screen to skip straight to the game selection. There's 216 games left on the list. We got them all here, like Resident Evil 2 and Quest 64 and Shin Nippon Wrestling. Even Mario no Fotopi. Let's see what happens. Alright, we are off down the not FedEx sponsored marbles track. Space Invaders in the lead. Darn boomer games. What is this noise? It's so loud. It's so loud. Space Invaders. Resident Evil 2 is off the cliff. I don't know why this is so loud. Mario Golf got launched. So many games falling off. It's just a massacre out here. Who knows what's going to happen? Monopoly is gone. It appears Automobile Lamborghini. 2 marbles with Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time has had enough, chat. There are 2 Ocarina of Times in the lead. Oh my god. There are literally 2 Ocarina of Time marbles. With Automobile Lamborghini coming in. Ocarina of Time has such a good chance. Premier Manager 64, not if it has anything to say about it. Dark Rift as well. The goal is right here in Premier Manager 64 getting launched. And in an upset, Premier Manager 64 takes the win. Ocarina of Time somehow is not even in the top 10. Oh my god. Alright, Premier Manager 64. It has been decided. But yeah, if you're still here watching, you're awesome. Thank you so much. If you had a good time, consider hitting that like button, or maybe even dropping a subscription. Or hey, maybe even watch another one of these videos that's on screen now. And yeah, see you next time.